Hi, my name is Laja Iren. Welcome to my channel, and here I talk about love, life, and faith. Now, if you've seen the topic of today's video, which you probably have, how did you get here? This is for young couples who are having their first baby. Even if it's not your first baby, even if you've had a baby before, you might find some helpful tips here. So, welcome. But you'd also realize that I have a similar video to this on this channel. Oh, geez. Please tell them in the comments what is the name of the video I have that's similar to this. Let me see who's going to get it. Let me know in the comments. But I'm basically sharing this because I realized that marriage is not always an easy journey. It's a beautiful journey, but it's not always easy. And sometimes things can become even more complicated when a baby enters the picture. So if you are a new couple and this is your first baby, or even if you're not a new couple, you might for long, but this is your first baby, or even if it's not your first baby, you'll find this video helpful. So let's go. The first thing you must realize is that this is a blessing. I know maybe the woman is having sleepless nights, morning sickness. Right, my last pregnancy, nosebleed, leg pain, teeth discoloration, weird things were happening to me, big pimples. But when it all comes down to it, this is a blessing. And so, one thing I would like to encourage you guys to do is to constantly remind yourself about the fact that this is a blessing and to constantly thank God for this blessing. The truth is, pregnancy is stressful. It's stressful on the woman, and sometimes that stress is also communicated to the spouse. And you can't blame your wife. She's not trying to transfer aggression. It's just that pregnancy is stressful, and so sometimes that can also have an impact on you as well if you're a man. So but if you learn to consistently remind yourself that this is a blessing, it makes it easier to handle pregnancy. So it's a blessing to thank God for, and it's a blessing that you must remind yourself about, because it's possible that maybe because of the pregnancy, there are some things you used to do before that you no longer do again. And it might seem like, oh, this pregnancy. But please remember, this is a blessing. The second thing I'd like to remind you about is that you are both in this together. Do I go again? You are both in this together. So as much as possible, the appointments, the choosing of the hospital, the emotional support, that's something that you both must do together. It also means that as a woman, you're consistently communicating what's going on with you or your plans for the baby. Also understand that, granted, as a woman, this pregnancy has an impact on you, but don't be negligent of the impact that it might inadvertently also have on your spouse. But remember, you are in this together. So this is not a competition of now she's sending me errands, now she's asking me to bring food for her because she's pregnant. No, this is a we are pregnant situation. You are in this together, and so pregnancy is not a time to keep scores or to count scores. So the first thing I said was this is a blessing, and the second thing is you are in this together. The third thing I want to tell you, if you are young and you're expecting your baby, is that your marriage will be tested. People talk a lot about the impact of pregnancy or having a baby on your body, the impact of pregnancy or having a baby on your mind, the impact of pregnancy or having a baby on your time and on your finances. But you see, the impact of having a baby and of pregnancy on a marriage, it's something that we really need to address, because pregnancy is a journey on its own, and then when you end that journey, another one begins. So there isn't always time to recover from the issues that might arise as a result of the pregnancy or a result of your emotions within that pregnancy. And the impact of that baby on your time, on your emotions, and on your marriage when the baby comes. So you must understand that if you're having a baby, your marriage will most likely be tested. And that's the reason why you see a lot of couples, or a number of couples, end the marriage few months after a baby. Because you just get to the point where everybody's stretched thin, their patience is stretched thin, and they're like, I don't know if I can take this. So understand that your marriage will be tested, and that means that that's a good time to pray. That's a good time to close ranks, and that's a good time to make sure that you are protecting your heart and protecting your spouse as well. So know your marriage will be tested, and know that the enemy is not your spouse, the enemy is the enemy. So come together to keep him at bay and choose to be loving, forgiving, and patient. Now, if you're having a baby, please, I want to encourage you to save up. When we were having our first baby 8 years ago, what my husband and I, we were not really in the best place financially, but at least we had something coming in. We started saving from the first month of the baby. So we went to the hospital to ask. It's not like Nigeria today where prices keep changing every day. But even if prices want to change, they won't change that suddenly. You get right. So we went to the hospital to ask. So how much will it take? Because my company didn't have health insurance at the time. They had hospitals, but I didn't really like the hospitals that were attached to the company. So we went to a hospital that, and I'm going to talk about choosing a hospital soon. But we went to a hospital that the hospital we wanted to use, my sister had used them as well. And we asked, okay, how much is a regular birth? How much is a CS birth? And we got all the figures. And then from the first month, we saw positive pregnancy tests. So we started saving. Right. And then that helped us because I think they said the normal vaginal birth at the time was like you just come to the hospital with 120K or something. And I think when we were done having the baby, we still had some change from we still had some change from the hospital, but then she had jaundice, so we now needed more finances. But at least for the primary aspect of and shout out to our parents who were there for us when we now needed more help. But for the primary aspect of having the baby, we already had that covered. So that even if there's an emergency, right, you don't have an emergency upon an emergency. There are some things that should not be emergencies in the first place, like giving birth, because you have time to prepare at least 9 months or at least 8 months. Paying rent, those things you have time to prepare. It's not today or last week you knew your rent to be due. So you have enough time to plan and to save up. So plan and save up for your baby things, plan and save up for your hospital bills, plan and save up in case maybe one of you who might not be entitled to paternity or maternity leave needs to stay home for a while. Plan and save up. Another thing you should do when you're expecting a baby as a young couple is to pray. And it goes without saying, but I just have to mention it. Pray for your baby, pray for your home, pray for your marriage, pray consistently, pray continuously. And another thing I would say you should do if you're expecting a baby is to educate yourself. Don't assume. It's unfair to you, it's unfair to your child, it's unfair to your entire family that the only thing you might know about giving birth or being pregnant or having your spouse who is pregnant is what you watch in Nigerian film. Like or what you saw your mom go through. You're like, when my mom was pregnant or when she gave birth. Every woman is different. So educate yourself, ask your doctors questions, read the pregnancy blogs, read the blogs that have to do with delivery and giving birth. Ask questions when you go for antenatal. Just really find out what you need to know. So educate yourself. That's also very, very, very important. And don't just educate yourself on the medical aspect of it, but also on the emotional aspect of it. What should you expect hormonally from a woman who is pregnant? And if you're also pregnant as a woman and you realize your hormones are all over the place, that means that might not be the best time to make decisions or to communicate. So when you understand yourself better, you will do better. So educate yourself. Another important part of having a baby, especially your first baby, is choosing a hospital. Please, I want to beg and encourage you. No matter how good a hospital might look on paper, I would encourage that you go there for yourself. And what people might call it just to feel the vibe, but I would say it is a clearer way to check in your spirit if this is the right place for you. So both in your spirit and with your eyes, if this is the right place for you, it will help you be able to decipher the distance between the hospital and your house in case of an emergency. You will see how the staff treats people. If it's possible, you can see the birthing center. I also think that it's important that before you give birth somewhere, you know somebody who has also given birth there and let them share their experiences with you. I think that's the most important thing, because a hospital can be really big but really bad at some things, and a hospital might not be so big but really good at something. So those are conversations to consistently have. And then it's also depend on you and what you want. I remember that when I had my second daughter, my second biological daughter, we had just moved to Abuja at the time, and we were looking for hospitals, and there was this really big hospital that was recommended. But the problem was, even though they claimed to be a good hospital, they said when you are giving birth, no family member should be there. And I said, this hospital is not for me, because I always want my husband there when I'm having a child. So when you ask those questions and you visit those places, you are better able to make a decision that works for you and for your family. When you're having a baby, please take note of this, my dear young couple. Not every decision is an extended family decision. To breastfeed or not to breastfeed, that is not an extended family decision. So it's not up to your mother-in-law or your mom. When it comes to babies, I always say that fed is best. In other words, breastfeeding is good, but some women do not have the opportunity to breastfeed, probably because they've done all their best, but the breast milk is not coming out. And I've had women cry and say, I feel like a failure because I can't breastfeed. My dear, it's not by like that. The important thing is that your child eats well and eats healthy. When you see people walking on the streets in their 20s, in their 30s, even in their teens, you can't know simply by looking at someone that this one was breastfed for 12 months, this one was breastfed for 6 months. So even though hospitals recommend breastfeeding and medical professionals recommend it, I think it's a good idea if it's something you can do. But even if it's not if it's something you cannot do for good reason, please enjoy your motherhood. As a man, enjoy your fatherhood, and fed is best. Baby will be fine. The important thing is that baby eats and is healthy, and then as you continue to go for regular checks, you will see that progress, right? So, but not all conversations should be extended family conversations. Both of you can decide which parents will come. I know they say in my tribe is this is a man's parents that will come or is a woman's parents that will come. But knowing your mom, knowing your mother-in-law, will she be a good fit for your wife? Is it a situation where the wife will give birth and have to go to the market to cook, and all the mother or the grandmother or the mother-in-law does is just to hold the baby and be looking? Is so these are conversations to have between you and your spouse. I say, you can even tell your mom, mommy, I know you want to come, but I think it's better if my wife's mom comes. And you don't make it look like, oh, I want my wife wants her mom to come, so mommy, there's nothing I can do because this is what my wife said. So you are making these decisions as a unit. When you get married, you leave your father and your mother, and both of you become one flesh. And so when you're talking to your in-laws, you talk to your in-laws with one mouth. When you're talking to your parents or your parents-in-law, there should be unity in what both of you are saying. Not, mommy, you know I want you to come, I love you, I'm your son, but my husband said you cannot come. I'm your daughter, my wife said you cannot. I'm your son, but my wife said you cannot come. Or I'm your daughter, but my husband said you cannot come. So you want to make sure that whoever you are inviting into your home to help with the baby going forward is actually somebody that will help with the baby, and so that it's not just tradition over the health of the mental and emotional health and the support that the primary caregiver needs. So not every decision is a family decision. The names that both of you are going to call your children, you can ask your parents for third or fourth names, but the names that both of you are going to call your children is dependent on both of you. Whether you are going to give birth abroad or in Nigeria is dependent on both of you. And so you must make sure that while you have a good relationship with your extended family unit, not everything is open to conversations, especially things that should be between you and your spouse. If you're having a baby and you're a young couple here, I would say please choose the health of mother and child over prejudices. It doesn't matter whether or not your family believes in CS or in any other kind of medical. What matters is what's important for the mother and what's important for the child. There are situations where men need to get permission from their mothers before they can give doctor permission for CS. Strange, weird things are happening. And you might say, oh, well, she's not a real woman if she does not deliver like a real woman. I have a video on this on my channel. If you are in my comments, drop the video. The video, I think it's in the video. It's my pre-pregnancy photo. So if you see it, I got the name of that video. Now ask them to put it in the caption as I'm talking, so that you guys can see it, right, as a text. But I think the important thing is health of the mother, health of the baby. There are different weird stories I've heard where they say, oh, the child did not come out this way, so therefore the man is no longer involved. May you not be an unkind person to the spouse that God has given to you. So the important thing is the health of the mother and the health of the child over prejudices. Mother first, because you have one wife by the special grace of God, and then the child. And even hospitals prioritize mother and child, but by God's grace you will have a healthy mother and a healthy child in Jesus' name. Last thing I'll say, if you're a young couple expecting the babies, please prioritize one another. Before baby comes, prioritize your husband, prioritize your wife. After baby comes, please hear me, Prioritize your husband, prioritize your wife. You see this child that you feel is your everything, is your all in all. This child will grow up and leave your house one day and marry their own. So if you don't put the marriage first, you might eventually regret it. And it goes both ways. Love your child with all your heart, but please prioritize. And not just prioritize in your mind, prioritize with your words, prioritize with your gifts, prioritize with your actions, prioritize with your emotions. And it must be something you do intentionally, where your spouse knows that you choose them first above this child. And God will help you in Jesus' name. If you're a new parent here, congratulations. I'm praying for all the best for you on this journey. And you always have reason to give thanks for your family and for these children in Jesus' name. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and God bless you.